I was observing the red number 9, and the first big skill strength I noticed, being a striker, being an autonomous learner in that area, his shooting was unbelievable. One-on-one with the keeper, tucked it away, helped his team get the win. Brilliant play. You can tell that he knows what he's doing. Brilliant extension of the knee, and using that fast glycolytic muscle fibers to absolutely rocket the ball into the net. The keeper had absolutely no chance. Really good under pressure in the open, skilled environment. It was just fantastic. Second of all, his dribbling. Very quick feet, very agile, knows exactly what to do, when to do it. Very positive attitude to push on, get his team forward, and create those opportunities. He was really motivated to really get his team forward. It was just fantastic to watch. Thirdly, his movement off the ball was top quality. He was always getting in behind the defence, always causing problems. Even if he didn't get the ball from the pass, he made the defence think again about where to mark and basically what to do, and whether what they were doing was working, which cast doubt into the mind of the other team, putting them on a psychologically in front, as well as physically, constantly getting at them, constantly causing problems, constantly creating opportunities. However, moving on to his weaknesses, his ball control was really poor. Had a very poor first touch, a couple of times led to throw-ins because he couldn't control the ball, which could be down to the fact that he applied too much force to the ball when trying to take it down, and it just flew away. Maybe he didn't estimate the velocity of the ball or the flight path of the ball, meaning that he couldn't control it to the proper extent of his abilities. Second of all, I thought his passing was very poor. It wasn't often that he had to pass, but he seemed to really struggle to get his pass on target to his man. That could be that factor. It's in front of a crowd. They socially inhibited him. Maybe he was nervous and he had a very poor selective attention of what was around him and who he could pass to. Third of all, set pieces was poor. He was often not very involved. As a striker, you want him to be in there. You want him to be attacking the ball when the ball comes into the box. And he knows where to be from a set piece. He can read it and get into the right position when he's needed to, which possibly one of his defending teammates that have got up for the set piece don't know as well. So that would be he's a big miss in that area, which could lead to wasted opportunities for his team. Moving on to tactics, a big strength of his was he was very aware of the tactics his manager had put out. You could tell him and his attacking partner, whether that was a striker or an attacking midfielder, you could tell they knew what they were doing. It was clear they were a pressurising team. They wanted to really get into the face of the defenders and force them to make a decision quickly. A lot of pressure placed on the defenders to get moving, really. Maybe he has very good leadership skills to help maybe get his teammates to pressurise with him, to cause even more problems, and to reinforce that into the heads of his teammates that that's what they're going to do. Clearly autonomous in that area. It was very blatant. Second of all, attacking positioning was unbelievable, and as a striker, you'd expect that. Really good pacing of himself to know when to run and when to set off in order for the ball to be perfectly in place for when he gets there and for him to be first to it. Also very high arousal, very aware of what's going on and what could be best for his team in terms of trying to create a chance. A third strength was he knew exactly where to run. Basically, leading on from my last point, really, in that he was, from past experiences, schemers especially, he clearly knew exactly where to be and when to be there. It's a brilliant attitude to have as a player. You could really live off those past experiences, being an experienced player, to fluently move through the defence, be in the right place, create those opportunities, and really help his team towards success in this game. just purely off causing the defence a problem with movement, not even on the ball, just moving, he was causing them problems, which was just brilliant to see. However, a tactical weakness of his was his man-to-man play. He really didn't fare well with the man-to-man. It's a very poor pitch, very worn away. It's just a field at the end of the day, so it may be hard to plan where to be, and where best on the pitch it is to be in order to take on the man. And to really face off against them, he just really struggled to do it. He often just sort of pulled out of the sort of challenge that you'd want him to be there. He is the first line of defence at the end of the day, so you want him to be in there, you want him to be causing the defence problems in terms of being man-to-man. But he was a smaller player in comparison to those big centre-backs. He is going to lose the fight quite often. It's not often going to come through to it for him. A second negative of his tactical play was he didn't really know which pass to make. This could be down to a lack of confidence or potentially a lack of bilateral transfer, as he was strong on one foot and not necessarily on the other. Potentially, his in terms of technology, his boots may not be the most high quality boots, especially playing at a lower level. Maybe doesn't earn the money to pay for high quality boots, which can affect your passing, as you have to either put more power in it yourself or just change the way you play in order for it to be effective. He struggled to know when to pass. This could be down to a poor attitude of a player. And using attribution in the game, the result would show that the team played well, but overall his performance may not have been as good as he expects, especially in that department. As he just passed for the sake of passing to get the ball away from him, which he may get lucky and in the end get it up to a player that can get there. Often it didn't go to a teammate, so he sort of missed out on that. And if a scout, but he could be having a poor attitude because there's no scouts there. He wants to, as any player does, he wants to be at the top level of football. And with no scouts there, he can't really climb up the league as quickly as he'd want to. So in terms of routes to sporting excellence, he doesn't really get a route there. He doesn't really get a route to be seen by the big teams or teams just even in just a couple of divisions higher. He doesn't get seen by them. So what's the point playing? To him, probably there isn't one. Moving on to fitness now. A clear strength of him was his speed. Being quite a small player, he constantly ran the defence. It was pretty impressive to watch. He used the correct energy systems when he needed to use them. Brilliant acceleration linking to Newton's second law. He obviously was able to put enough force into the ground in order to get himself going very quickly in comparison, to really get his team, or himself anyway, into a perfect position quickly for his goal. Not for his goal, but as a different chance. He accelerated really hard to get into the back post. Ended up the cross never came in, but if he had done and got to the back post, he would have been there for a simple tap in. So he just really offers his team a brilliant option in terms of scoring. Secondly, his strength was a real good thing of his play, especially his explosive strength in his legs. He was able to push on extremely well. That helps towards his pace and push really hard. It was excellent to watch. Third of all, agility was he clears a very good centre of mass in order to keep himself balanced and change direction quickly in order to get his team through, get himself up the pitch, get into the correct position in order to receive a pass and then take it on with him. Excellent as far as I'm concerned. Moving on to fitness weaknesses, it was clear that his VO2 max and aerobic capacity were not top level. A couple of times we are getting 60 and 70 minutes, so there's still 20 minutes to go, and I caught him a couple of times bending down in order to catch his breath when the opposition were attacking. Being an attacker, he's allowed to not get back, but you should not be running out of should not be really running out of breath as an athlete like that. Could maybe down low potentially to the factor that he's only just back from injury and maybe not match fit, and they just put him out there. Of course, they need him to be out there, and he's a key player, but he maybe not match fit, so maybe he was about to be subbed off in the next 5 minutes because they knew he was never going to make the full 90. If that's the case, then maybe you can let him off in that sense, but it was still a weakness. A second weakness was his reaction time. Few times he was beaten to the ball by the defender because he mistimed his run. He was late to the ball, which maybe that he's not paying enough attention to the game in order to be there when he needs to be there, which is a real shame because many more chances could have been created had he had really good reaction time. Thirdly, his muscular endurance was poor. It links to his VO2 max in a way. He was walking about when his team were defending. He was just sort of, if the opposition had the team in the midfield where he could still try and he still sometimes just walking in order to, in terms of EPOC, would help to build the ATP back up into his bloodstream, which would help his muscles out. It takes 30 seconds to build 50%, and 3 minutes to build a whole 100%. So that could potentially cost him in the end and cause him to not play as much of the game as he would want to. So they're all strengths and weaknesses, and they could all be quite easily worked on for the next game.